Today I'm going to be predicting the 2023 Goodreads Choice Awards nominees and winner for the mystery thriller category. I did this last year for the first time and it was so much fun to do. I put way too much effort into it and I'm doing it all over again this year and putting even a little bit more effort into it because I am a type A Virgo who is insane and has nothing better to do with her time. Last year I predicted top 20, top 10 and the winner. I think I correctly predicted 9 out of the top 20, 4 out of the top 10, and then I did accurately predict the winner of the category, which is all that really mattered to me at the end of the day, and I was pretty proud of that. So this year I'm gonna see if I can do it all over again, and I'm gonna see if I can do it even better than I did last year, and I'm hoping for a better success rate this year. So I've put a little bit more work into this than I did last year, which even that was too much work. It's all too much work, but you know, this is what I do for fun. Spreadsheets are a hobby. I've gotten all of the data ready, it's all prepped, and now we're going to sit down together and predict top 20, top 10, and the #1 winner for the mystery thriller category. And then in a couple of months, when the results come out, I will be posting a reaction video again where I react to the whole process and see how I did. If you are unfamiliar with the Goodreads Choice Awards, I'll give you a little quick rundown. The Goodreads Choice Awards goes on every year. It's been going on for the past decade or so. And the way that it works is initially they give you a batch of books that they have deemed some of the best books of the year in that category. There's somewhere around 15 to 20 categories based on different genres. And then there's also a category for debut books. But it starts with the initial batch of all the books. Then voting rounds begin. You get to vote on what you want to win. We go through another round of voting, and then eventually one book wins in each category. They don't really announce the timing of what the year's schedule is going to look like until it gets closer to the event, and I'm filming this on October 3rd so that I can get a little bit ahead because I always just panic. What if I don't predict it enough in time before the top 20 is announced? I have to stay on top of things. But going off of last year's schedule, this is about generally what you can expect for the Goodreads Choice Awards, assuming they run it similarly this year. I really like to dig into the rules of how the awards works and what becomes eligible. That really helps me narrow down my pool of options, because if I'm just predicting what I think the best mystery thrillers are going to be this year, I have to have a place to start. I have to have a place to start to narrow some things down. So when you dig into the nitty-gritty rules, we know that this year, books that will be eligible for the Goodreads Choice Awards for 2023 have to be published between November 16th of 2022 through November 14th of 2023. Books that are eligible include books published in the United States in English, and this includes works in translation and other significant re-releases, and books must have an average rating of 3.50 or higher at the time of launch. Now let's talk about my methodology. My first step in this process is compiling as many books as I think will be contenders into my initial list so I can start to narrow down what I think will be in the top 20. Last year, I ended up with about 50 books. This year, I have 64 mystery thriller books that I think could be contenders. And the way I form this list is by going through books I've read, books I've heard about, books I've seen mentioned on lists, books I've seen as book club picks for, the general public's book clubs, but also celebrity book clubs. I've learned some patterns to look out for, and so that is where I scour my sources to get all of these books. Last year, the two main factors I looked at were average rating and number of ratings in Goodreads. I multiplied those numbers to manufacture a fake kind of score to try to get some sort of multiple. It was the best thing I could think of to factor both of those numbers together. And this year I've done a very similar thing, but I also have added a system of bonus points this year. While I was compiling my list of books, I took note of where they came from and if it followed a particular pattern. Things I looked out for and that could earn a book bonus points include if the author has been a previous nominee in the Goodreads Choice Awards, if the author has been a previous winner in the Goodreads Choice Awards, if the book was a Book of the Month Club pick this year, a Reese Witherspoon book club pick, a Good Morning America book club pick, or if it was listed on Amazon's list of the hottest books of 2023. I also noticed a couple of weeks ago that Goodreads published an article about the hit books of the year, and that was broken up into different genres, and I made sure to bookmark that and pay attention to that and use those to compile my list. So this year I've changed the way I'm calculating my score a little bit. I am still taking a multiple of average rating times number of ratings, but I am also adding a multiple of the bonus points times 100 and adding that onto the final score just to give it a little relative boost in my sorting. Now let's jump on into trying to build the top 20 list. I'm going to primarily be working out of my spreadsheet. I may flip back and forth between some screens depending on if the visual elements are helping me. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I'm just going to kind of play along and see what happens. But I want to start by looking at the highest rated books by average rating. I always think that's a good place to start. And here we have a lot of non-surprising books. I'll talk you through some of these selections as we're going through them, but I'm not going to end up hitting on all books or else we'd be here all day. But as we're building the top 20 list, we'll talk about what I think is important. So I think what I'm going to do is highlight books yellow, as I think they're going to be a good contender for the top 20 as we look at it a couple different ways, and then we'll see how many that is. If I have to narrow anything down, if I want to reconsider anything, we'll go from there. So our top book by average rating is The Last Devil to Die, which is the 4th book in a series by Richard Osman, which is not surprising. His books do end up pretty highly rated and pretty largely read. Last year in the 2022 Goodreads Choice Awards, his book ended up in the number 3 highest voted book, so that one I'm definitely going to add. This seems like a strong contender. Everyone on This Train is a Suspect is the 2nd book in a series from Benjamin Stevenson, and Goodreads is saying this book is supposed to be published October 17th. So this book hasn't come out yet. That's why it doesn't have very many ratings. And I also am not even sure if it's really coming out on October 17th because I thought it was coming out later than then. But this book would have to get a heavy readership very quickly. And the 1st book in this series was not in the Goodreads Choice Awards last year, so I don't really think this is a super strong contender. All the Sinners Bleed by S.A. Cosby has been a highly rated book this year, an average rating of 4.33, and S.A. Cosby is a previous nominee. And this book was in this Amazon pick list, which I think is a pretty good indication of how the book is doing commercially, because I think Amazon's probably putting that into their factor of numbers. So I do think there's a good chance we're going to see this in the top 20. The Violin Conspiracy ended up with 6,000 votes last year. It made it into the top 20. It did not make it into the top 10. Symphony of Secrets is the next book from this author, and I think we might see it in the top 20. The Housemaid's Secret, I feel very confident we're going to see in the top 20. The 1st book in this series ended up in the number 11 spot last year, and it's just been a wildly popular series. And Freida McFadden actually just announced another book is coming out in that series. So I do think we're going to see this in the top 20 and probably even the top 10, but we'll deal with that later. The Maid's Diary by Lorith Ann White is a book that I have not read yet, but it kind of looks like The Housemaid, and I was putting it on the list because I started to see it talked about on TikTok, and I felt like it had a chance of having a similar success story to The Housemaid. I don't see people talk about it a lot on BookTube, and I honestly don't feel super confident about seeing it in the top 20 because I'm just really not seeing it talked about as much. So I think I'm going to skip this for now, but we may look back at it later. None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell has been wildly popular. I'm very sure this is going to be in the top 20. Drowning, I'm not sure about. I Will Find You, the Harlan Coben book. I think last year I expected a Harlan Coben book to come in the mix, and I don't know if a Harlan Coben book did end up coming into the top 20, which was surprising to me. And I haven't heard many people talk about I Will Find You, and the one I thought that would make it into the top 20 last year was a book that I was seeing advertised everywhere. So it would be kind of strange to see it show up again. I'm not going to select it yet. The only one left, I do think we have a good chance of seeing that in there. It's been a really well-received Riley Sager book after a couple of lesser well-received Riley Sager books. And it has a really strong average rating right now at a 4.18. Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, I am unsure of. I do think this is being pulled into Amazon recommendations, but I don't know. It's fairly new. It came out at the end of September. I don't feel confident selecting that yet. Homecoming is a book that I ended up pulling in here, I think because it came from the Goodreads list, and it was under the mystery thriller category, which was surprising to me because this book has the primary genre historical fiction and mystery comes secondary, and this does not look like a mystery thriller, and it just doesn't feel right being in this category. So I hope that gets corrected and it ends up not being in this category, but it was worrying me that Goodreads was already categorizing it as mystery thriller in an article they published recently. So I feel like we just have to keep it in here for consideration for now. Last year, Stacey Willingham's A Flicker in the Dark ended up in the number 4 spot, so I definitely think All the Dangerous Things will be in the top 20, if not the top 10. Those Empty Eyes by Charlie Donnelly, this came from Amazon. I'm not hearing a lot about it. I don't feel confident on that one yet. The Drowning Woman, I hope makes it into the top 20 because this has been one of my favorite thriller books this year. It doesn't have anything else going for it with no bonus points. And I'm not hearing an overwhelming amount of people talk about it. So as much as I wish it makes it into the top 20, I just don't feel like it will. So I'm not selecting that one yet. Five Survived by Holly Jackson. I thought this book came out forever ago, but apparently it came out at the end of November, which makes it eligible for this year's awards. However, this is a young adult book, and I feel like we don't often see young adult books in the mystery thriller category. So even though it has almost 80,000 ratings and a 4.08 rating, I feel like it would be strange to see it in the category, and I would expect it to be grouped into the best YA category instead of the mystery thriller. So I think I'm going to leave that one off. We have another Frida McFadden book that came out in this time period. It came out in May of 2023. It's called Ward D, and it's being received well with 77,000 ratings and a 4.07. Authors are eligible to have more than one book within a single category that is nominated. The only time that becomes an issue is if it's multiple books in a series. I believe only one book from a series can be nominated, but authors can have multiple books as long as they're not part of the same series, and Ward D is not a part of the Housemaid's Secret series, but it would be really wild to see another Frida McFadden book in the category. So I don't think that's going to be a top pick for me at this moment, but my opinion might change. I do think Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers will make it into the category. This seems like it's been a popular book that's been hitting well. I don't feel strongly about On the Savage Side or When I'm Dead by Hannah Morrissey. I'll Stop the World by Lauren Tommen was a book club pick from Mindy's book club, and I thought that might give it a chance, but it only has 10,000 ratings, which doesn't seem super high on the list. So I don't know if I'm going to add that one yet. I do think What Lies in the Woods is going to make it onto the list. Crook Manifesto by Colson Whitehead. He has been nominated before, so that seems like that could be a pretty good contender. I'm not sure about The Bandit Queens, The Quiet Tenant, or Murder Your Employer. These all feel like books that could be on the list, but I'm not totally sure. I've seen The Bandit Queens pushed a lot on Amazon lists, and The Quiet Tenant I know has just had a really good booktube reception lately. Murder Your Employer I'm really not hearing much about, so I don't think that one would be. So I'm not going to add any of those for now. Everyone Here is Lying by Sherry Lapina. She has been a previous nominee, but I don't think this was a Book of the Month Club book or anything else this year. It's a 3.91 with 34,000 ratings. We might see that in there. That's a pretty high rating count. Intern, I do not expect to see in the top 20. The Whispers, we might. Also Gone Tonight, we might end up seeing because Sarah Pekkanen has been in the awards before. Dark Corners is another one that I would not be surprised to see. Whalefall, maybe, but I'm just not sure about that one yet. The Last Word, I feel like I could see that one being in there. Maybe the Gillian McAllister book. The Blue Bar, I've been seeing pushed a lot on Amazon, but it doesn't have that many ratings. The Drift, I would not expect to see that in there. Good Bad Girl, the Alice Feeney book, I think will be in there. I think it just needs some more time to get more ratings because it just came out right at the end of August. The Kind Worth Saving, I could see being in there. The Ruth Ware book, I could see being in there. I Have Some Questions for You is one that I hope we don't see in there, but we might with 68,000 ratings. I don't know yet about that one, but The Villa, I think we might. Age of Vice, I think we might. Megan Miranda and Mary Kubica always just seem like authors whose names I'm never surprised to see. Alex Finlay also usually ends up in these awards, I feel like. And then these, I don't think we'll see in there. So that's my initial batch based off of rating. Let's see how many we have. So that's 25 that we selected based off of average rating. Now I'm going to sort by number of ratings and see if we missed anything that has a lot of ratings. Okay, so we've got Five Survived, but again, I just feel like that's going to be in the young adult category. I don't think we're going to need to worry about that one. This Ward D coming up again. I do kind of feel like Frida McFadden is getting a little bit of the Colleen Hoover treatment, not nearly to the degree, but for people who like to read like Kindle Unlimited books, which I think Frida McFadden books are. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna put it into our initial list. We might whittle it down. I Have Some Questions for You does end up in the top 10 based on number of ratings. We might have to consider that one. The Harlan Coben book and The Maid's Diary. I'm just not sure. Also, She Started It. This was a Book of the Month Club book. Has a 3.6 and 25,000 ratings. This is when I start to doubt myself. It really is tricky. Okay, let's try sorting by the score, which is the combined factor of all of these things, and see what really pops out. 5 Survive, I Will Find You, Maid's Diary. Oh man, we might have to consider these. Just because Harlan Coben wasn't in it last year doesn't mean he won't be this year. The Maid's Diary book may be doing better than I expected. Okay, I feel relatively good about this initial batch. I don't feel like I'm leaving out anything that's going to stand out too much. What I do want to talk about for a second is I went ahead and hid books that didn't qualify based on low ratings before I ever started this process. So these were all of the mystery thriller books that I had included that did not qualify based on rating or release date. And if we look at these, some of my favorite thriller books are in here. Like, I really enjoyed The House in the Pines. The Writing Retreat is one of my favorite books of the year. I thought The Angel Maker was good. The Soulmate I thought was good. Like, a lot of books that I thought were pretty good ended up in this really lowly rated list. So that is a bummer. I'm really upset about The Writing Retreat because that's been like my top thriller of the year, and it has 44,000 ratings, but it has a 3.44, so it's not gonna be able to be in the awards, which is really annoying. Also, The Soulmate, 85,000 and a 3.85, but it came out October 25th. I just feel like that came out in 2023. Let me check again. Oh, you know what? Goodreads is saying October 25th of 2022, but maybe that's when it came out in a different country. Yes, okay, April 4th of 2023. So I need to fix this, and then that could potentially make it into the list. Is number 5 on the list? Also, Sally Hepworth is a previous nominee. This was a Book of the Month Club pick. Wow, I almost missed a big one. I'm really glad I double checked that. I do think that'll be in there. The only thing I can't get past is this 5 Survive. I need to check on last year and see if any YA books made it into the category. It doesn't look like it. Let me check what made it into the young adult fiction and just confirm that they put mystery and thrillers in here. Okay, yeah, that's a mystery/thriller book. This is a horror book, mystery/thriller. Okay, I feel better about this. I think 5 Survive would end up in this category if it was going anywhere at all. Also, I could totally have the date wrong of this or something. I don't know. That just feels a little bit off to me. Maybe it was like different country. I don't know, but I don't think we have to worry about it for this category. I'm gonna sort by my score one more time and just make sure I feel good about the initial batch. So we don't have Drowning in here. It has 21,000 and a 4.22. I think I might need to include that just in case. She started it really low. I don't think that'll make it in there. Quiet Tenant, 3.94 is pretty high, 22,000 ratings, but it just came out in June, so it hasn't been out as long as some of these other books have. In fact, most of these were pretty early in the year, and I think they like to have a decent balance. So you know what? We're gonna look at that one. That one could potentially make it on there. The Bandit Queens came out in January, so that's had a whole year and it hasn't gotten that many ratings. So even though it was on the Amazon so much, I think we're gonna be okay there, but I will regret it. If that ends up coming into the top 20, that's when I will definitely regret not including, because all year I've been seeing how much Amazon is pushing that and I've been like, okay, keep an eye on that. It might go in the nominations, but it just doesn't feel right. So I'm not going to include it. Okay, so let's see how many we have now. Now this is 32, so I need to remove 12 of these. We're still sorted by score. So if I were to take out the bottom 12 based on my score, these are the 12 that I would remove. And some of those are crazy, because how would The Last Devil to Die be so low? It has a 4.62, 14,000 ratings, and multiple bonus points. I guess just because it doesn't have as many ratings compared to all of these other books, but it did just come out mid-September. So that's how these things get kind of tricky sometimes. You know, it can kind of like mess you up, because if you just look at that alone, it seems like it's not that popular, but it's only had 2 weeks of publication as of the time I'm filming this. So I do feel strongly about this. I really feel like this is going to make it into the awards. Let's sort by rating and see if some of these lower rated books are ones we can get rid of. Maybe any of these in the 3.5 territory. The Only Survivors, Just the Nicest Couple, and What Have We Done? The Alex Finlay book ended up getting 5,800 votes last year. Let's see what the average rating of this was. This was a 3.93. So this year's book is a lot lower rated and This now has 54,000 ratings, probably because of the Goodreads Choice Awards. Maybe we can take that out. Just the Nicest Couple. I don't know. This part's always so hard. How do I make these decisions? Okay, if it's been out for a long time and it has a low score and it has a low amount of ratings, then maybe that will be what helps me take it out. I thought this book was doing much better than it is, but this doesn't seem super high. This came out in January, only has 22,000 ratings. It has a 3.62. We're gonna remove that. And then Kind Worth Saving has been out since March, kind of low. I'm gonna remove that. Was Rachel Hawkins in it last year? She was not. Okay, I'll just take that out too. The Only Survivors, I don't feel good about that one either, even though it's Megan Miranda. Gone Tonight, I don't know, it wasn't very good. What about this? Crook Manifesto, only 5,000. Symphony of Secrets, maybe this one won't be in there since it's so small in terms of number of ratings. It's highly rated, but not super widely read. Let's see what that gets us to. 24, 4 more to remove. Let's see what was read the least. Good Bad Girl, but that just came out. Okay, June, All the Sinners Bleed. Since March. Ooh, I don't know about that. Do I really think The Maid's Diary is going to be in here? I just don't know. It was on the Amazon list. Ooh, it was on Goodreads hit list. Okay. I feel like if it was on Goodreads hit list, I feel pretty good about leaving it on the list. Did I take out anything that was on that? Oh gosh, I took out The Bandit Queens and I'll Stop the World. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think I can sleep at night if I mess up The Bandit Queens. I'm going to just put it in there. Okay, now let's look for anomalies and average rating. 3.5, Just the Nicest Couple. Okay, we're taking that out. That feels right. That feels right. We can get rid of that. 3.6. You know what? I'm going to take this out. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I can't think it too much or we're going to be here all day. Oh gosh. Ruth Ware, I just feel like it's going to be there. Okay, we're down to 23. 3 more to remove. How many sequels do we have in here? We have 3 sequels. That feels like an okay amount. What about The Whispers? It is mainly being bucketed as a thriller, but I've seen people say this is more literary. Okay, it's being compared to Lisa Jewell, Sherry Lapina, so yeah, I think they're going to think of it as a mystery thriller. What can I get rid of? I don't know. Okay, The Housemaid's Secret, yes, that feels right. All the Dangerous Things, that feels right. None of This Is True, that feels right. The Only One Left, that feels right. The Soulmate, that feels right. Ward D, that feels questionable, but it's Frida McFadden, so that feels right. What Lies in the Woods, that feels right. I Will Find You, that one, I'm kind of unsure about. I'm going to turn it orange. The Maid's Diary, also kind of unsure about. Homecoming, pretty unsure about. You know what? That's an easy one to get rid of, right? 41,000. Yeah, they're gonna put that in historical. They'll do me justice. They won't hurt me like that. Vera Wong, that feels right. 0 Days feels right. Everyone Here Is Lying feels questionable. Maybe, I don't know. The Last Word feels right. Does it, or is that my bias? Because last year I put The Island by Adrienne McKinty in there because it felt right, but it didn't make it in the top 20. And this feels like another case where I'm doing that. It's a 3.78 with 34,000 ratings. Taylor Adams has not been in the nominees before. Okay, well, maybe if I have to get rid of that one, I might, but I don't think I can yet. The Whispers, I don't know, but it seems like they're going to call it a mystery thriller, but it has a lower average rating compared to some of the other books we're looking at. Maybe I can take that out. I don't know. I actually don't feel too bad about that. I'm gonna take that out. Drowning, I also feel kind of iffy about, but it does have a pretty high average rating. All the Sinners Bleed, I just feel like they like S.A. Cosby. I feel like he's gonna be there for no reason whatsoever. That just is something I feel inherently. The Quiet Tenant, I don't know. The Bandit Queens, we can't leave that off. This definitely. Dark Corners, maybe not. Actually, maybe not. I feel like I could take that one off and not lose sleep over it. Let me see how many this makes. Okay, so I have 17 that I feel good about, and then 3 that I was questioning. Wait, that would be 20. Okay, I can turn those back yellow. Okay, that's it. That's 20. That could be my top 20. That feels good. That's gonna be my top 20. Okay, yay, top 20. These are my top 20 predictions. my gosh, okay. Now I have to guess top 10 and the winner. It all gets harder from here. Okay, top 10, I'm going to turn those green. And then we'll do like a lime green for the winner. So definitely think this will be in the top 10. Right now we're sorted by number of ratings. So these are really popular books that I think will make it to the top 10. I feel good about these 4 for sure. It's also important to remember that voting comes into play during this part when it gets to the top 10. So this begins to be based on voter opinion. And I feel okay leaving Award D out because I think when you have an author in there twice, it splits their vote because you can only vote for one book. And I feel like people will vote for The Housemaid's Secret more than Ward D just because it's familiar. The Soulmate, I'm not sure if I think that's going to make it into the top 10. I don't feel passionate about including that. And I think I'm going to sort by average rating to get a look at that. Okay, yeah, we definitely want to pull this one in here. So that would be 5. I think this one will make it too. 6. Let's look by the score. Okay, so we have previous nominees. Let's look at just who's been nominated before. Oh, I have not selected any of them. Great, great, wonderful, amazing. Love that. Okay, I feel all right leaving that one off of the top 10. Do you think people will come out and vote for Ruth Ware? I feel like maybe people would, but people aren't really reading 0 Days. Let's see, maybe Alice Feeney because it's newer, but generally people aren't loving it. I don't know. None of these feel like top 10 material to me. Okay, so we have 6 for the top 10. We need 4 more. You know what? Let's just go on vibes. Let's use intuition. I've got to check out The Maid's Diary. Let's see what people are saying. Being compared to books I have not heard about in this Freida McFadden book. Wonderful ratings, wonderful ratings, wonderful ratings. Wonderful ratings across the board. It's a risk, but whatever. That feels right. So that's 7. Okay, Drowning has 2 5 stars from 2 popular bookstagrammers and a lot of good ratings. I think TJ Newman didn't make it last time because she was new. Maybe she'll make it with this one. That's 8. And I'm going to say I think it will be I think it'll be What Lies in the Woods, and gosh, I just don't know. I just don't know. The last word. I just have to commit. That's what we're committing to. So these are my predictions for the top 10. Out of these, if I have to choose what I think is going to win, last year The Maid won, and I just felt so sure about that. Like I just knew that book was going to win. It was very obvious to me that it would be either that or The Paris Apartment. This year, I don't feel like I have a clear, obvious winner. I don't know. Freida McFadden has gotten so much readership, but I don't think a sequel is going to win. It just never feels like the sequels win. I would be shocked if The Maid's Diary won. That one just does not feel like it will win. If I'm going off of vibes, I feel like it could be None of This Is True, What Lies in the Woods, All the Dangerous Things are the only one left. I feel like those could be contenders. Again, none of this is my personal opinion on what I think is the best. I'm just going off of what I think will win. And if I had to put my money on something, honestly, I think I'm gonna put it on All the Dangerous Things because it has a really high average rating, really high readership, the second highest readership on this list. Stacey Willingham ended up in 4th place last year, which is pretty good. And I think she can beat Richard Osman because we're on the 4th book in the series now. We don't have a Lucy Foley book to compete with or a Good Morning America book club sensation like The Maid. So honestly, I don't know. That feels kind of right to me. So that's gonna be my final prediction for what I think the winner will be of the 2023 Goodreads Choice Awards Mystery Thriller category. I am now thoroughly exhausted. That was a lot of work. And I don't know how I'm feeling confidence-wise. I have no idea, but hopefully I can do better than last year. I don't feel like wildly confident on the winner just because I don't feel like it's as clear cut this year. Last year, I just knew innately that the maid would be the winner. It was just so obvious to me. It's just less obvious. Like I said, I will be putting out a reaction video once all of the awards are announced, which is going to be in early December. So make sure if you're not to subscribe down below so you don't miss out when I do end up putting that video out. And let me know down in the comments below what you think of my predictions. Let me know if I left anything off that you think is definitely going to be in the top 20 or 10. Let me know what you think the #1 winner will be, and then we'll check in a couple of weeks and see how many of us were correct. But that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.